Hey guys, welcome. This is LJK Financial Foundations. I'm Lonnie Cronoli. Great to have you guys here. This is a channel where we talk about Money 101, the financial foundations, talk about budgeting, debts, talk about credit, and so much more. And we dig deep in all those things. So stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, guys. We're going to talk about the theory of decreasing responsibility. So stay tuned, check out the video.
Life is a winding road.
Hey guys, so welcome. Glad to have you guys here. And in this video, like I said, we're going to talk about the theory of decreasing responsibility, kind of how life works. But let me rewind a little bit. And before you get to this point of understanding all this kind of things, you want to know step one to do a budget. You got to get started with step one of things. Do your budget, make sure that you know where your money's going, where it's allocated to, different things that you're spending it on, whether it's weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, every 6 months, once a year, whatever that looks like. You want to know where your money's going. So that's the first and most important step to take the first step. If you have questions about budgeting, check out my budgeting video. You can check that out. And then step two would be to save your short-term emergency fund of $1,000, guys. You want to make sure to save that in case something happens of an emergency, car breaking down, things like that. I also did a video on that. Check that out if you have any questions. So at this point, I want to talk to you guys about building a house. Doing the budget. That's a like the big step in this house. Having your short-term emergency fund. But you want to make sure when you're building a house that it has a solid foundation. Because if you build it on something that's going to sink or whatever, your house is going to collapse, guys. Those of you that are builders out there, you know how devastating this can be. You don't want this house to sink in and you want it to last for the rest of your life and hopefully more generations to come. You want this house to last a long time. And that's the goal here with different steps, guys. You're building your financial house and you want to have a solid foundation to it and have each step a solid step in it. So as we go through these, it's me helping you build this solid foundation and building your house to a greater financial future. And the one thing that I want to talk to you guys about, which is going to be now this is part one of a 4-part video series talking about the different types of life insurance. I know, Lonnie, I don't have life insurance. I don't need life insurance. But let me talk to you a little bit how life works, and let's talk about that. So as you're young, today you may have, you may not even be at this point, but at some point you may have children, you're going to have high debts, you have a house that you have the mortgage for. So if something happened to you where you passed away, that loss of life would be devastating in the early years. And you definitely your family would struggle with that. My dad died when I was younger, so, I know what that looks like. I know what that struggle looks like for a family. But that early loss of life in the early years, it's just tough, especially with the children, the high debts. Your family's left to try and take care of these things. It's really hard for them to take care of. So at that point, you need more coverage. You need protection at that point. Protection for your house, protection for those debts, protection, so that basically what you're doing at this point is having your income still help out after you're gone. You want your income still coming in every month, even though you're not there. And that's what this life insurance is going to do. It's going to help protect your family. It's going to help with those debts. It's going to help take care of that financial loss that's going to happen. Because at that point, if you don't have life insurance, more debts are going to climb, because at that point they're having to pay for a funeral and other things like that. And you want to definitely make sure they're not losing their house. At that point, they may lose the house, the mortgage, because they're unable to pay it. Now they're moving to an apartment or something, or whatever that they can financially handle. A lot of people, this is devastating to a lot of people. And I know that I don't want that for my family, and I don't want that happening to you guys, where you see people out with buckets saying, hey, can you take, looking for a donation to help the burial cost of a loved one, or to help their family because of the loss of a loved one, trying to get some extra money. And that's not what I want for you guys. You guys need to have that coverage, so that if something happens to you, the main worker in the house, and if there's two of you, both of you should be covered. But in those early years, you're going to need more coverage to take care of that kind of stuff. But how life works in the later years, you don't need that much, because your children are all grown up and you have lower debt at that point. Hopefully no debt, but at least lower debt. And then as far as your house and your mortgage, hopefully that's paid off or near paid off, and definitely at a lower rate. So at that point, you don't need the life insurance. You don't need that income. You need money at that point for your retirement. So when I talked about going through and getting that 15% on the Rule 72, you want to starting that kind of thing to get that money for retirement, and getting to making sure that you have money for retirement. Because at that point, you don't need the life insurance. You need to have more money, because the life insurance, at that point, it's going to be not as much needed, because you have so many less things to cover. So that's what the theory of decreasing responsibility is. It's to just kind of show the early years that there's more debt and more things, and you have less money because it's all being paid off on different things. And later on in life, you have more money and less debt and less things that you're paying on. And with that more money, you're kind of self-covered, essentially. So at that point, you don't need the life insurance, because you should have a financial savings and things like that going through the different steps. But you want to have that coverage for your family in case something happens. I'm going to throw a chart up behind me. It kind of shows all this. The early years, the later years, and the things being covered. It's called the theory of decreasing responsibility, guys. So definitely check this out, and you want to make sure that you're getting this. Now, I know your next question is, what kind of life insurance do I need? Do I need AD&D? Do I need whole life? Do I need term life? And I'm going to get into all those in videos coming up. So stay tuned for the next video, where I'm going to be talking about another type of life insurance and going through on that, what that looks like, what it covers. And like I said, this is a 4-part video series that I'm doing. So stay tuned. Hit the like button, guys, if you got something out of this. And watch the next video so that you can learn more about those life insurance things. You want to know the ins and outs on this and what's important, what's being covered on these things. There's so many secrets about them. So you want to check that out. Catch you guys next week. Have a good one. Stay tuned for the positive quote of the video.